Now this, an intensely hostile media. They'll do just about anything to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. That seems to be clear. Their bias is right out in the open. Here's a quote from the editorial board of the New York Times. Here it is. The message of hatred, they use that word, hatred and paranoia that is inciting millions of voters will outlast the messenger. Now, just a day later, this headline in the New York Post. American journalism is collapsing before our eyes. That was written by New York Post columnist and a man who's won the Pulitzer Prize, Michael Goodwin, and he joins us now. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Stuart.
Strong stuff. American journalism collapsing. Make your case.
Well, look, I think that the New York Times is really example A here. They have essentially jettisoned all of their standards, all of their traditional standards against bias, against favoritism, against tilting too far. And as I say in the column, this is not the ordinary tilt of liberalism that we're used to. This is a full-on assault against Donald Trump by the New York Times, the Washington Post, ABC News, NBC News, CBS News. The so-called white shoe media organizations have violated their own standards in ways that I have never seen before. It's a shrill partisanship day in, day out, every morning, every night.
Do you mean they read stuff into the things that Donald Trump has said, extrapolate out and call him a racist and a bigot and all the rest of it? They're interpreting in their own way what he said.
Not only that, they are echoing the Clinton campaign and the Obama White House. There's nothing independent about what they're doing. They are arriving at exactly the same conclusions. In fact, the New York Times public editor, the new one, who's actually quite good, called the Times out on the way it lets Clinton advertise on its website, as though it's impossible to distinguish or difficult to distinguish between the ads that Clinton puts up herself and the Times copy. I mean, this is a seamless adopting of the Clinton ideas right into the Times website and into the Times reports.
You could also express bias by what you cover and what you don't cover.
That's right.
Seems to me that the establishment media has a full court press on investigating Donald Trump, everything he ever said and everything he ever did and every woman he's ever spoken to. But the same is not true on the other side.
Right. Well, I think there's a built-in assumption that, as the Times wrote, the Times media reporter wrote in one of its stories, you have one normal candidate, meaning Clinton, and one abnormal candidate, meaning Trump. So if you start from that point, the stories write themselves. Whatever Trump says or does is abnormal. Whatever Clinton does is within a parameter that's acceptable of conventional wisdom. And so I think they have approached them. They're fundamentally flawed in their approach. Look, Donald Trump is an outside-the-box candidate. I think there's absolutely no dispute on that. But does that mean if you're the New York Times, you have to jettison your standards? Because standards like laws and regulations are used to guide behavior in all cases, not just easy cases, but especially in difficult cases.
And now, you're not necessarily a Trump supporter. You are being objective, you say, and upholding journalistic standards. That's where you're coming from?
Look, yes, absolutely. Look, I do think I have written that I could see myself voting for Trump, but I have not endorsed him. I don't know how I will vote in the end. I probably will not vote for Clinton because I think she is fundamentally dishonest. But my mind is open towards Trump. But my piece here is about standards. It is about whether the media is violating its own standards and therefore can never be trusted again. Once you let that genie out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. So I think this is really a seminal moment in American journalism.
Yes, it is. I think we're going to post that article, by the way, with your permission, on our Facebook page. We'll do that. Michael, thank you for joining us, sir. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.